Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News. Now, the coroners in Costa Rica had also labeled his death by asphyxia. But the article goes on to state that the actor died near Cocles, which is a beach in Limon, Costa Rica. Police told ABC7 that he, being Malcolm Jamal Warner, was caught in a high current in the water and was discovered on Sunday afternoon. Now, the article doesn't state if he was caught in that current on Saturday and then he had been found on Sunday, or if all of these events occurred on Sunday. But I suppose the details around his drowning doesn't matter because he does leave behind a wife and a child, who I'm almost certain is completely devastated by the loss of her husband and the father of her child. Now, as more details about this story comes out, I promise I'm going to keep you guys posted. But again, I pray that you keep him and his wife and his daughter in your prayers, because this is definitely a trying time, because nobody should ever have to watch their loved one go out tragically. Now,
what's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And you know, life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else. But just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else to smile. So, find a smile for yourself and be a reason for someone else to smile. That's all I got. Listen to love because it's been a minute. Peace and love, and I'll be back soon. Experience, you know, coming out the box on that show, that had such like, it wasn't just like the #1 show in the world. It was a show that had such an impact on the world,
Absolutely.
on white America, on Black America, and that's something that I will always be proud of being associated with.
Yeah.
My experience.
Peace and blessings, man. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Monday. I'm kind of mixed with emotions. I ain't gonna hold you. Wasn't expecting the news that I got today, and I want to dedicate this specific stream to Malcolm Jamal Warner. So, to everybody that is watching, I want you to take what happened here and understand how precious life is. My thoughts and condolences go out to the family, to the friends, to everybody affected by this. I'm gonna bring Sydney and Rob up here. I want to give flowers to this brother, man. I do have something else that I want to bring up. That's going to be after, we give this man his just due. But yeah, I'm still in disbelief. Sid, Rob, what's going on, man? Blessings to you both.
What up, dog?
Hello. Man, you're migrating all over. Every week it's a new location now.
Summertime action. I thought I would be en route right now, but I'm glad I could be here with y'all. Plans got changed up, but everything is okay.
Hey, some delays are for a reason, you know what I'm saying? It's all about perspective. I'm just glad you're in a good space, everybody healthy. As long as we ain't on nothing negative with all of the things that's going on outside of us, that's all that matters. Yeah, bro. It's real. It's real. Somebody reached out to me on IG earlier today. I'm just at work. I don't know nothing about anything. I get a message. Theo is dead. Theo. I only know one Theo. And that's from the Cosby Show. I'm like, hold up. Theo from the Cosby Show. What?
Right. Young too.
54.
Very young.
He was on vacation. They said he drowned.
Right. I still can't even believe it, man, because it just don't seem real at all. I grew up on him. I grew up on the Cosby Show. I remember him for the Cosby Show. And it's like, I never really heard him in a lot of drama. He kind of stayed out of the way. He always seemed like an upright brother, man. And like, it's just unfortunate that something like this happened. When did you hear about it? What are your initial thoughts on his passing?
I first heard about it this morning. I always think it's really sad, especially when it's a parent, to lose their life this early. And I don't know, it just makes me think of my dad and how quickly things can happen, like how unexpectedly life can hit you with something like that. And like, you could be enjoying your vacation and just doing something for fun, and then that. So it's just it's just another one of the stories that kind of gives you perspective in life and makes you grateful that you are where you are, but also kind of gives you that little bit of a reality nip of, like, it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, I seen him on my timeline on Twitter and my Instagram all day. So my first thought, he must got a movie or something coming out. It's his birthday. And then I took a double look, and it's like, oh man, he's damn near in everybody's house around the world for years. And then, like you say, he stayed out of trouble. And then I seen him come back in a couple movies. So it's like, okay, always happy to see his face. But I'll be upset a lot how people just post, like when you die, all of a sudden they just post. Like I be feeling like if I die right now and everybody start posting, I ain't talked to these people in years or whatever, you just start posting. I got a problem with that, how people just And I know, you gotta, they be wanting to represent, but I'm thinking like majority of the people that's posting them right now probably haven't talked to him in years. And it's just like a free for all for, sometimes I feel like it's like a attention grab.
I remember that happened with Michael Jackson. There was a lot of celebrities that were like, "Oh my god, I miss him so much." And then I remember some of the tabloids, or not the tabloids, but some of the like comedians or whatever. Or it was like literally last week you said how much you didn't like him. Like, what do you mean you're best friends? Like, we have proof that you like literally did not give. You didn't care. But yeah, it's always difficult when like people come out of the woodwork and they're like, I've always cared. I'm so sad as well. And we're like, yeah, but you haven't been here in a while. That happened when my dad passed away too. We had a lot of family members coming out like, oh my God, Evelyn, are you okay? Like, why didn't you reach out to us? Like, well, we haven't heard from you in like 12 years. So that would probably be a reason.
I ain't gonna hold you. I feel the exact same way to a certain extent, bro. But if you've buried as many people as I have, you get to an age where you don't hold any hostility. You ain't got time to be like, where was you at? I don't remember seeing you. I ain't talked to you in 5 years, 10 years. Why are you trying to act like you at this point? I don't care about any of that. Because I understand how precious life is. In reality, the things that we argue over, the things that we divide over and we have issues with, they're so trivial. They really are. Like, in this moment, you angry, you frustrated, you pissed off. But in hindsight, you aren't as affected by it as you thought you were. But it's only until you see that coffin close and it get lowered into that ground when you realize that none of this stuff really made a difference. And I don't believe for a second that he would want anybody to feel any type of way. That's just my opinion. Great actor. Again, I never heard anything negative about him. He did a lot of movies. He did a lot of television. Some stuff didn't get seen by the public, or it didn't get the attraction that it should have. I think that man should have done a lot more than what he accomplished. But from this last video that I had played, I might end up just playing it again, just because his last recording, his last video was him telling people to smile, to be grateful, to just enjoy and embrace life. It's kind of scary to hear someone leave that type of message, just who knows how long before we get this type of news, you know what I'm saying? And every time I see stuff like this, I get humbled, like instantly. My day could have been horrible. Not anymore. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So, yeah, man. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because we get so caught up in our own life. Bills, responsibilities. Oh, you're too old to act young. You're too old to play in the snow. You're too old to watch cartoons. You too old to be worrying about other people's opinions and blah blah blah. Like, come on. You only get one of these. One. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not about to waste another second trying to appease a world that is temporary. I'm still trying to, like, Bill Cosby in jail. I wonder how the cast is doing with this. Alicia Rashad, uh, Bill is locked up. I don't know how he's going to take the news. Lisa Bonet, all of
Did
them.
he get out? He out.
He is. I don't know. I didn't hear anything. But if
I
he
think
is, then
he was quitted a while ago.
okay. Well, I'm still just wondering how are they taking it? You literally spent your childhood with him, all of them. So I know that gotta hit close to home. I only seen you through a screen. I had to put these on because I didn't know how I was going to react to it. And that's how in touch I was with the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show wasn't just this make believe, oh, we're following a script. The Cosby Show was a glimmer of hope. It was, I hope and pray that other Black families are like this. I hope and pray that there are other men and women out here in the world that want to raise their families this way. That's what it meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, the older you get, you realize, oh, everything ain't what you see, but still, they held a staple in this community for years, and for that, I don't care what Bill did. I don't care about all the tabloid clippings and all that. I don't care about none of that. The message still remains exactly what it is, and I always will root for that. Sid, was you a Cosby fan? Did you watch the Cosby Show?
When I was a kid, I mostly was on Discovery Channel, Animal Planet. Like, if it had people in it, I wasn't interested. Not until probably high school. Yeah, but I did know about the show, but truthfully, my most intimate interaction with the show was when all of that happened. That was mostly my first introduction to who he was and the show and everything like that. But yeah, I actually I've seen clips, but I haven't seen like the full show before.
What about you, bro? What was some of your memories from just his work and his catalog in general?
Oh man, shoot, the God, man, we grew up to that. Like
Right.
I remember having like emotional. First, I used to be jealous, like to the point where we kind of used to go through Brooklyn to see where they was filming it at. Like, with who lives like this? You know what I'm saying? Because we was in the hood, no parents like that. It wasn't no. And then after a while, it was like, oh, when I matured a little, it was like, wow, this is how you want to be. You know what I'm saying? This is, and then when they would address all the social issues, a lot of it taught us how to respond to what was going on in the public. You know what I'm saying? And it gave us hope to where that was something that we wanted to aspire to, because I know growing up in the hood, everybody wanted both parents. I told y'all before, but when I was going through New York, I used to walk past Columbia University, Hunter College, New York University every day. And I felt like I wasn't worthy of going in those buildings unless it was to mop the floor, clean the toilet. And when I would see them, I would watch the show. It was like, well, you know what? That ain't what I want to do, but maybe I could do it now based off watching him. And then, of course, they changed the style. I was talking to my best friend, Cooley from Phoenix. Shout out, Cooley. We was literally talking last night about how they influenced the fashion as well. Of course, Bill with the Coogis, every day, every flavor Coogi. You know, we wanted to aspire to that. You know, first, that was the first black man I seen wearing the $300-$400 sweater. Taking mine to this day, Coogis is still $300 or $400. Some of them $500 for a sweater. And then what we was really talking about was the HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, how they started that whole trend to where in New York, when we would see them wearing it on TV, we didn't even know what that was. Like you know what I'm saying? We knew it was like college, but we were so far out thugging, it was kind of like, but they put that, they instilled that in our mind to where we was talking about that a lot of kids still, especially in the West Coast and up north, you know, from New York to Boston type, they don't even know about the HBCUs. They don't know what's going on and how we want to change that for the youth. And we literally talked about the Cosby Show in a different world, how they had put that in our head years ago. So yeah, shoot, I could hear the song in my head. I could right now see the intro playing. They used to have the 1 or 2 intros that you knew it was finna go down when they come on. And like I said, for him, I was always happy because he stayed low key, it appears. I'm pretty sure he did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but he'll pop in and out. And I always felt like a breath of fresh air seeing him, Malcolm Jamal Warner, that is, when he would pop up in the movies lately, because I'd be like, oh, bro, still doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be rooting for him because you're right, no matter what. I liken him to the guy from Urkel, not the son, not Urkel, but the son.
Eddie.
I forget his.
Eddie.
Yeah, they was always kind of like, you know what I'm saying, and I know Eddie went through it, but Malcolm more. He had a couple little tabloid, but he always seemed to be a positive brother, and it appeared that he did a lot for the community. So yeah, that's like home. You know what I'm saying? When you say you felt like you know him, and you know, as much as you want to be like, oh man, they're just celebrities, da 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 da. They're not in our house. Some of them to us are like in our house, and he was definitely a household figure, man.
That's for sure.
I also wanted to add, it showed at a time that there really weren't very many positive representations of white collar Black community members. There was a lot more shows. It was either like the rich white people or like the trashy people, depending on what type of entertainment type. But they didn't have as equal representation as they did through the 2000s and 2020s, up till the 2020s, I guess. So I think it also offered kids something to look up to. Like, this is a white collar life that I could achieve, that any normal family could get to. And that's important. People don't realize the importance of being able to see things in your life to aspire to, because especially for kids who live in really difficult situations, it's hard for them to place themselves into a situation where they're successful and happy one day. And to have imagery of other people living that way enables them to see the similarities between who they are and who that person is, and the ways that they could actually achieve that particular lifestyle. So despite everything that happened with the actor, I think that show in general was culturally very important for a generation or two, multiple generations of kids and adults who use that show. Maybe even they didn't even have a good home life, and so they're looking to this family as a model to emulate. Like, how can I create a better life? Like, and I myself, while it wasn't this show, it was other shows. I found myself also finding family in the shows that I'd watch. And even though I knew they weren't real, I felt like I was part of their world, and it influenced me in how I thought. And at times it even made me feel like I had friends. But it's it's something that is for the people that experienced it in its time. It was very, very important. It was an anchor to that community.
You had to be there. A lot of y'all never experienced this type of programming. The writing was phenomenal. The topics, the things that they addressed, they did it in a way where you would look at the man or the woman in the show, you would look at the children in the show, and the way that they were able to interact and actually integrate the rebellious side of the kid, and on top of that, show you how to hold the other person accountable in the process of showing them tough love, was everything. Because the way that people handle it now on television, off television, is absolutely borderline lunacy to me. I like that comparison between him and Eddie, because they both had like similar issues in school and just everyday house life, but the contrasts were there as well. I loved the way that they approached those shows specifically, because they didn't make us look like, oh, we don't obey our parents. We're rebellious, but we also understood who was the authority figure. You looked at Claire. Claire wasn't playing with you. Harriet was not playing with you. Carl was not playing with you. Heathcliff was not playing with you. He was goofy. He was funny, but yeah, they were really serious about education, presenting yourself out in the public a certain way. The fashion, bro, you touched on that. The fashion was impeccable. Yeah, I clown on people who dress proper, but that is how you represent yourself. Ladies, specifically, y'all the ones that get offended the most by how women are supposed to come out the house. Claire did that. Harriet did that. You might not have liked their old school ways, but they knew how to put it on. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for Bill and the rest of them. All of them knew how to dress properly.
Low-key, one before 2015 knew how to dress properly.
Yeah, for real. So, I mean, he accomplished a lot as far as I'm concerned. That whole cast, whether or not they fell off or they're still around, they all did phenomenal jobs depicting a life that a lot of people wish they could have had, or they're still striving for. There are people right now that's still clinging on the ideals and the principles that they represented, you know. And
they also did so without peddling all the issues that entertainment television likes to peddle, such as all the cheating scandals and drugs and partying and whatever. Like, these shows were rare examples of very I don't remember the word for it, but like modest and like family values and just normal everyday people. Like, it's not people getting trashed and being crazy and going wild. It's just actual wisdom and advice for life in a fun format.
Rob,
They
you
was
was right.
they were so powerful that you're right, Sydney. Representation is everything. They were so powerful that when they stopped the show from being syndicated, the outlets changed the whole way that the black family was presented. And I'm going through my head right now. The only ones that I see like that was powerful, maybe Blackish, I guess, because they were doctors. And then you had Everybody Hates Chris, the hardworking dad, mom. But now you only mostly get that in like a reality show. Like, the most positive reality show that I used to enjoy was Rev Run, with the way he raised his children. I enjoyed watching him and his wife, the way they dealt with situations and navigated their stardom. But when you think of today, there are no shows like that. I can't think of one that's really without, like you said, Cindy being raunchy or having some kind of I do like that Mike Epps show, his sitcom that
I
he
think
had
the
on there.
closest we have today isn't a black family, Modern Family. They're kind of mixed, but they're relatively normal. But yeah, there really aren't very many. Like, obviously, I don't watch a lot of these shows, so I don't get marketed them, so I don't really know about the ones that exist. But whenever I see shows these days, it's usually like shows about the super, super stinking rich, the ones that have like a yacht and they're gonna go to a party at this island and they all have bikinis and drinks, and it's either those types of people or it's the like
Trash.
dating game show pool party. Like, it usually involves a lot of partying. It's very rarely just like watch me through my day, like, unless you go on YouTube. That's basically the only place you're going to find family type content anymore, is if you go on YouTube and see what other people have put out. But the entertainment companies, they don't want to put that stuff out there, because if you're living a mundane, boring family life, you're not spending the type of money that partiers are spending. You're not going to be buying booze. You're not going to be buying fancy clothes every weekend. You're not going to be going on crazy vacations. You're just going to be spending on toys for your kids and books. And advertisers don't like that.
They sure don't. And they made it perfectly clear over time. You start to see more raunchy, more revealing, more intimate roles being conveyed on national television, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, skits, reels. It's sad and it's obvious. It's like you throw it in our face what you're doing. We see it, but we don't really do much to stop it, because what the general consensus is saying versus how we actually feel is contrary to the results, which is enforcing their reasoning for pushing the agendas. Imagine having the Cosby Show, having Good Times, having Fresh Prince. Imagine those shows in 2025. What would the landscape of entertainment look like if those shows existed right now?
They'd be banned.
They probably would. Now I know Malcolm Jamal Warner did a show with Tracy Ellis Ross, and they tried to do a rendition of the Cosby Show. From what I saw, I don't think they got the traction or the support behind it for it to keep going. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Cedric the Entertainer, he tried he tried to do it himself, but his was a little different. He had that sexual innuendo aspect a part of his content. So I can't really think of anything outside of Blackish. Blackish took off. Um, if there's things on social media, I follow somebody, and she wasn't a big channel or nothing like that, but her reality with her family was real. She was authentic. I don't know what she's doing now, but the things that she went through with her kids and all that, that was something that drew people's attention. I miss that type of programming though. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just grateful, and I appreciate him and that whole entire staff and everybody who gave us that type of programming. I thank them for giving that to me, and I got to experience it, because there's two different sides to this life, and if all you see is sex, drugs, and trap houses, you would never think that we had a single normal household ever. You would just think nobody is stable at all. So
I think that's why we might have, or it's not the only reason, but one of the reasons why we might be having issues with our younger generations and being unable to see themselves as parents, not wanting to even go into like the adult type milestones. Like, people aren't interested in getting married, people aren't interested in having kids, because they're shown everything else. They're shown extravagant vacations to these other countries. They're shown like these poolside parties in the Bahamas. They're shown like you could go to Florida and go on a boat trip all around the whole peninsula, and their friends are going to these concerts and to the, I don't know, whatever people like to do these days. People are doing things, and that is what is being put out on social media. And so the people that are kind of on the edge, they don't know what they want to do. They're seeing all these people going on vacations, and they're like, okay, that's what I'm going to do because that's what I see. And I think that might be another aspect to why people aren't having that many kids anymore, is because we don't even have the representation out there. The people who are having kids aren't usually the ones out there on social media showing their lifestyle, because they're raising their kids. It takes a lot of effort to raise kids. It takes a lot of time. The ones that very, very heavily focus on their kids typically are influencers that also have other controversies around them about how they treat their kids. So it's been shown that social media and kids don't really go along together unless you have a very, very, very good balance. So I think the representation might also be affecting everyone, because they're just not seeing people showing off. Like, there are some family vloggers and whatever, but the majority of young people that are posting on social media are childless people that are unmarried and don't live in a house and are working 9 to 5 and whatever. So most people are going to think that that's what the world is, that it's mostly childless people. And that's going to push a lot of people over the edge. If they think that everyone else around them isn't having kids, they're not going to have kids either. Because they're like, why would I? Like, I'm not going to change my lifestyle to something that doesn't match every other person around me. So I do wonder about that relationship. Like, if it's like chicken or the egg, are we not having kids because we're not seeing it on TV? Or are people just following what they do see on TV, and then they're just kind of like reinforcing it by offering us the same content, assuming that's how we are?
I don't know if it's seeing or I think people kind of getting hip. I don't think they want to bring children into their struggles more than anything. I think some people kind of wisening up, and they realizing that a lot of this stuff is cruel, and they realize they don't want to be struggling, and they don't want to bring their kids and have them struggling. Because you're right. I mean, that's the way to come rich, like have children or whatever. And that's the love. The wealth is in the love, and the generational wealth is in the love. But I think a lot of people right now is like, if I'm struggling, why would I bring a child into this where I'm struggling? And then, like you said too, that could be something as far as the relationships. I'm thinking, because I have yet to really see something about a long-lasting relationship where they're actually showing, the challenges that come and how to overcome them when it comes to raising children. They definitely not showing marriages, marriages that's like breaking up. But I think the smut sells more than anything. Like the smut is the sell, and I think that people kind of struggling so much that they probably want to see other people struggle so that they could feel like they have something to relate to versus like something positive. Because I see they tried to bring the Fresh Prince back, and I haven't seen it come up for like another season. And I watched like 2-3 episodes, and it was just kind of like it didn't hit like the first one. So it was hard for me because I was comparing. But I think right now we at a time where the drama sells. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at representation, Obama's political whatever. To me, not a lot was done under his administration. But the fact that he did not have drama, the fact that he did have his family intact, I think that was like the last straw, even for the big companies, especially the ones who exhibit prejudice, to where now this way off topic, but it kind of relates. I see that this guy and his cabinet are trying to stop the money that the college athletes are being paid. And that's crazy to me because what happens is you have these young kids, they're going to be worth more than the team after a while. You get these young superstars, and most of them are not coming from the you know what I'm saying, the regular status quo. And so now you're making these people rich, and they haven't say, and they haven't been able to have decision power. So to draw it back in with that, those shows like the Cosby Show, A Different World, even the old Fresh Prince, that was so powerful and uplifting to people, and not just Africans or Americans of African descent. There was people all around the world aspiring to be like them, aspiring to be like their families. That it transcended color lines. It transcended whether you had money or not. Those people was like, oh, you know what? I could do that. I could do that. I could go here. Or I could do that for my family. And that kind of programming, especially right now with the situation we in, who's in the White House and this and all of that, because it's always been the same to me. I haven't seen anything really change over in my years, especially going from the negative to a positive. But right now, like you said, Sydney, for sure, that is the anti. That is not. We do not want to see families uh, um, winning. We don't want to see them, because then that has people wanting to come over and do the same thing. And right now, we need everybody in disarray so we could go ahead and split this up.
Well, seeing as how you both kind of touched on something similar, I want to segue over to the second portion of this, just to add a little more depth to both of your statements here, because I think that with what you both brought just now is going to tie into this. I don't know who she is, but they call her or self-proclaim her to be the next Kevin Samuels. If you familiar with Kevin Samuels, then you already know what type of content he was about. He spoke about family. He spoke about hypergamy. He spoke about reality, people who lie to themselves, and the nuclear household, all of that. He was a more aggressive Bill Cosby, a way more aggressive Bill Cosby. But this young lady right here, I guess they look at her like she has similar views. So I wanted to play this for y'all and uh close out with this particular one. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. I'm gonna let it run. Hold on a second. All right, let me pause this.
I'm cool with that. Now, I was not the biggest fan of Kevin Samuels. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did agree with some of the stuff that he said, but I wasn't his fan because I did not like the way that he went about doing it. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to hear it straight and plain. Do y'all really think I don't like black women? I love black women. I adore black people. The people who I want to work for the most is my people, especially the woman, because I'm a woman. Like, let's call it what it is. Being nice and coddling y'all does not work. Holding your hand when I say this does not work because y'all do not listen to that. But you know what you do respond to? When someone is matter of fact, when someone is not nice about what they say. I have been a life coach for close to a decade. I've been telling y'all this. Any woman I have ever worked with that has been the most successful have been the women who are self-aware and accountable because they don't wallow. They know when they've made a mistake, they learned a lesson, and it never happens again. And on the flip end, the women who have the hardest time are the girls, the people who have no accountability within themselves or within the circle around them, the people who can do no wrong, the people who don't understand their flaws. Baby, when you can look your flaw in the face and say, you know what, I need to fix this, or say, you know what, because I understand I'm this way and maybe I don't want to change it, what can I do to make them more adaptable to be who I want to be? Black women understand something. Everything I'm saying to y'all is coming out of love. It's coming from a place of wanting to see us be better and do better and grow better. It's coming from a place of where I don't want to see y'all with subpar men anymore. Because the fact of the matter is, the reason why y'all hate men so much is because you keep choosing the bad ones. When your accountability goes up, when you start recognizing where you can be better, that's when you're going to get the man that you actually want. More importantly, that's when you're going to be the woman you actually want to be. Stay safe.
So that was her message to the ladies, but I looked at that, I listened to it prior to putting it up here, and the way that she spoke was the same way that Kevin Samuels spoke. He was just a little more blunt with his approach, but he didn't say anything that I thought was that much different than what she was saying. The only flip side is she's speaking to women in general. He was speaking to men and women. So I mean, based off of what you heard and what you know about him and how she approached this, how do you feel? I mean, what did you hear that might have rang true or maybe not so factual to you, or did you see anything wrong with any of it?
I think about kids a lot of times. You try to be gentle with a kid. Oh, put that down. Da, 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 da. And they look at you and keep going. You tell them don't do something, they're going to do it 2-3 more times. And then when you curse their tail out, a lot of time, or you get up and you rise up and you scream out, and then they be like, oh, hold on. You meant that, huh? You were serious. And not necessarily, cursing them out, but sometimes you gotta get in their mental. So for adults, it's like that. And again, it's shock value. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is nothing new. I never heard of her. This is the first time I've ever seen her speak. And rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. The conspiracy theorist is crazy because I never heard of him until what I heard. He was a lot of times dissing the woman, which kind of gave me a red flag, because it's like, why you up here, you dissing these women? And they continue to call in and all of that. But he kind of like rose out the blue. But unless I'm late. But as soon as he came here, he dies. That's the conspiracy side. But that stuff sells, man. People don't want to hear like this. It's a guy going viral right now where he was saying, if you're making music, you don't, nobody's just going to listen to your music anyway because it's good. You got to post an argument with your lady or your man. You got to post a fight. You got to post something like Boot Gang or Patty, Supreme Patty, and then people will go check out your music. And that's bad. But at the end of the day, if that's how right now, that's what's getting people's attention. People like, it hurt me to this day watching. To a certain extent, we love watching people hurt themselves. We love watching people in pain. And in her case, how she popped up, at the end of the day. To me, it's suspect because any wellness gurus or whatever, I don't really trust them, period, because you see what happens once these people hit the top, and then everything comes out. And then I give them a little grace too, because, they are people, and people make mistakes. But as far as your question, Deep, that's what people want to see, bro. Like, they want to see people getting checked or put in their place. And you want to see people get cursed out. You want to make a lot of people feel good, and a lot of that to me come from the fact that as people probably out here too, bullying is real, and we're in a situation to where instead of fighting the powers and doing anything, we argue with each other. Instead of changing our group behavior, changing our mission, instead of working together, we will rather watch people argue, fuss, and fight all day, because that's probably what we really want to do. You know what I'm saying? As we navigate through these situations, especially like in our work situations and our life situations. So and then also too, you probably work so hard, you don't have the time or the energy to figure out how you're going to fight this thing, because it continues to evolve in a way that no matter you might fight at this point, but in this point, you have no wins and it still succeeds. So it takes a lot of people mind off to see people going through drama. So I can see people calling in, and to me, it's no different from what the Breakfast Club does.
You made a lot of good points. I'm trying to remember the original question.
Well, my original question was, do you see comparisons between her and him? Do you look at what she's saying as a money grab? Is she being genuine? I know my man just made a lot of good points. A lot of these platforms specifically, they only tune in to see someone get put in their place I I have a follow-up question, but I just want you to get your thoughts off real quick.
I do think there's merit to what she said, particularly the part towards the end where she was forgot her exact words, but she was basically saying something along the lines of a woman can't love a man until she loves herself. Or at least that was my interpretation in my head. And I think there's a lot of truth to that where I think I actually just wrote something about this morning, but I think women misunderstand how men need to be loved. I think a lot of women expect that men are like, if men are being quiet, it means that they don't love them. Because I've noticed with women, when they're being quiet, they're purposely trying to make you ask them why they're being quiet. Like, they're being silent so somebody will come along and be like, hey, what's wrong? Where men, when they're being quiet because they're either doing something or they're lost in thought. And I think women tend to, or at least the standard social media style woman, gets frantic because she thinks he's being distant towards her and is not interested in associating with her or whatever. And so she gets more and more like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And he's like, dude, I'm trying to think, like, go away. And so again, that's going to make her think that he's mad. So I think we have a lot of women that just misunderstand that men do care about them. They're just not going to be vocal and out about it. Like, men, if they truly care about you, most men don't feel the need to like go around and be like, this is my girl, this is my wife, look how beautiful it, like, most men don't do that. But I think women think that that's what they want them to do. And so they're disappointed by their relationships because they're like, I'm not being put up on a pedestal. Like, what is this? I don't understand. Like, I thought I was going to be showered with gifts and praises and kisses and love and everything. And he's just like, I wanted to spend time with you and just chill. Like, that's all I wanted. And yeah, so I think the way women are showing men love is more so their own manifested anxieties, their own manifested insecurities in themselves, like not feeling comfortable with themselves, not feeling comfortable being alone with themselves, not sure how to occupy their mind when nothing is going on. And so they kind of nag at the guy, and that starts to cause problems. If a woman is more self-assured, more confident in herself, more comfortable being in her own skin, she's going to be far less likely to like, oh, my man's being quiet, I need to go bug him because I can't be alone with myself. So you, as a woman, and just in general, as a half of a relationship, you have to love yourself and understand yourself and be okay with yourself to also be in a relationship with that other person successfully. Because if there's anything about yourself that you don't like, you're going to start fights with the other person over things that you're not understanding why you're acting that way. You're going to yell at them because you feel insulted, but don't realize that it's because you feel insulted, and you're going to blame him for something else. Like, oh, you're doing this on purpose and whatever. So unfortunately, a lot of relationship problems are caused when one of the people doesn't actually respect themselves and their own person. So she was 100% right with what she said about that, where the woman needs to love herself first before she's even able to understand how she can love the man or the relationship party.
So I'm gonna respond to you first, and then I'm gonna spin back to him because you're fresh, and I don't want to forget or lose myself within your train of thought. How can I put this? A man that knows his woman knows exactly when to say something and when not to say something. He's going to know exactly how to approach her. He's going to know if she's close to her lady days and all that. He's going to know when she's moody, how to talk to her when she's in that mood, all that. A woman who knows her guy is going to understand that the silence requires something completely different than her silence. When I look at you and I'm thinking, oh, she's quiet, I already know something's up. You're gonna want communication, like you're gonna want the verbal, and it's gonna be like a combination of verbal interaction with some other elements to provide you that comfort, knowing that I am tentative to you, listening, and also I'm giving you a way to actually release it in a healthy manner. Whereas with a guy, if he's quiet, you coming to me, blah 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 blah, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have to be a little more,
Tone it down.
it's not even just toning it down, it's more because we love the nurturing. So physical touch is something that involves you being
Loving.
Right. So I think one of the
Listening.
yeah, that too. I mean, because truth be told, the way that I've always looked at it is, don't nobody give a shit about what I got to say. So what's the point of me even talking? I might as well just shut up, go to work, come home, and that's it. Because nobody wants to really hear it.
And you have to let the guy unravel his own thoughts for him, because I've noticed like women want to hear you like, oh, really? Oh, uh-huh. Oh, can you tell me more? If you do that to a guy, they'll be like, just let me talk. Like, shut up.
It's weird because I'm a slow talker. That's because look, if I'm going to communicate with you, let's do this. Let's really do this. I got to get some stuff off. That's going to require you to listen and not what was the word? I believe either you said it or I heard it somewhere else. Defensive listening. Defensive listening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that. If that's why I just ain't no point in me saying a word. To touch on something that he said, because it brought up a follow-up question. I think a lot of times when Kevin Samuels was rude and he was going at these women, you do know how ignorant and how disrespectful these women get, right? I'm not saying all of them. I don't think I've ever seen or watched the episode, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe I've ever watched a Kevin Samuels video where the woman was respectful and he called her fat and this, that, and the third. I think the only time he ever went left was when the attitude came, when she wasn't respecting the platform. This is my platform. You can't cut me off and interrupt me every time I'm trying to. Just like what Sydney was just saying. I'm sitting up here trying to explain something to you, but you constantly interrupting me in my thinking piece. We can't get anything accomplished here everybody is talking over each other. Let me do what I got to do here. So then things escalate. Now, do I think that, all right, is there a way, if you're having a conversation, let's say we're at a point to where we start having different personalities up here, and one woman in particular, she's the example that we so often talk about, the one that's combative, the one that's loud, that's unnecessary, the one that doesn't understand the communicative technicalities that come with actually trying to discuss and decipher our indifferences. Let's say we have one of them. How do you, and I think I asked Sydney and Jason this before, but since I got you up here, let me ask you, how do you handle someone who is unnecessarily problematic, being loud, overly, like you see how we talk up here, but she's just doing extra, or he's doing extra. How would you approach that?
As a parent, go sit in the corner. Until you're ready to talk, go sit in the corner.
Bang, 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 bang.
Sydney, you on one today. Let me first let me shout out Darius McCray. That's Eddie. I had to Google him real quick, so I don't cat like he's not a household name. Damn, they're part of my family. Nah, man, I deal with this every day. So much so, like, we go back to school in 2 weeks, and I feel like I got 2 weeks to get my life together. And real talk, like, I think you try to put yourself in their shoes. Now that I've been doing this so long, and I don't speak for everybody. I can't speak for. I don't want to speak for everybody. I'm speaking for me. First, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I could give you 50,000 examples of how I have to deal with this with our children and our parents, my students' parents all the time. Putting myself in their shoes makes me realize that they are trying to protect their children, right? So when I realize that, it's like, okay, I understand you, and I've learned over time that most parents, as they should, will do anything for their children, right or wrong, even if they wrong in public and they have to get on them in private, but in public, they're going to defend their children, defend their relationship, whatever. But I feel like you try to maintain your character, put yourself in their shoes, see where they're coming from, and you state the facts. And you have to show that you care. A lot of times they never come back and apologize or whatever, but they know who's who. You know what I'm saying? When it comes, because a lot of the times the combativeness comes from the fact that they don't have any other responses. They don't have any other way to respond. A lot of time it could be a lack of education, it could be a lack of experience, or it could be just the way that they seen things handled. Conflict. So you gotta keep your cool and continue to reiterate what you're there for, and if you care, let it be known that you're there to help, no matter what. And even if a lot of times, even if the person is wrong, and I'm speaking from a person that's been on both sides, because I used to get like highly irate. Matter of fact, I flee from conflict. I just started agreeing to disagree with people outside my circle. When I used to have disagreements, I totally separate myself from the situation. And I had my brother, shouts Reg, I'm always shout out my people, whoever influenced me. He told me one day, he said, man, when somebody tell you ain't right, you leave. You think you tell them they wrong. You think everybody crazy. And to a certain extent, he was right. You know what I'm saying? And I had to balance it to where, okay, if you're not putting food on my table, there's no need to argue with you. But at the same time, I had to balance that with, you could be right because you're seeing something. I'm looking from inside out all the time. So you could be right about your assessment, your criticism, whatever. I still don't be want to hear it, but at the same time, you're seeing something that I don't see. So when you're dealing with, people that are combative, a lot of times what I notice, you let them go through they spill, whatever, how they feel, whatever. You should remain calm, and then you say, okay, I feel what you're saying. Woo, woo, woo. Well, I heard you. You ain't got to feel whatever because you may not. You may sometimes be thinking like this person is great, but you let them go through their thing, and you say, okay, this is what I can do. And then nowadays, grow after I've matured, I realized we can agree to disagree. That don't mean we gotta fight. That don't mean we gotta end our friendship, end our relationship. We can agree to disagree. And I don't think a lot of people see that now. And I had to learn that the hard way to where, hey, I don't, that's your style, this is my style. And I don't have no problem with it anymore. I heard Huey P. Newton said one day, he said, no, Stokely Carmichael in Stokely Speaks, his book, a book of his writings and speeches. He said, when you have a product or you have a stance and you got somebody else that got a different product or stance, even if it's the same product, you put your product out beside their product, you put your stance, your value, your moral, whatever against theirs, and the people will choose the one they want. So a lot of times, again, with that, it's like, okay, you know what? You feel your way, I feel my way, but guess what? We can still work together for the good of the order.
Sensation.
I actually have my old schoolwork from when I was in high school, and in one of my classes we had a section called cooperative argumentation, which was discussing how to essentially argue with people, debate people over issues in a way that's productive and has an actual end result, as opposed to just arguing with each other. And the 5 things that cooperative argumentation requires is peaceful coexistence, so being able to get along with each other without trying to kill each other. Collaborative inquiry, where you need to be willing to ask questions about the situation as a whole and also investigate the other side of the issue as much as you investigate your own side. Deliberation, which is the willingness to communicate back and forth over the issue. Decision making, the willingness to come to an agreement over something. And then relational accountability, to own up to your part in that part of the discussion and your part in the solution, however it is going to be resolved. Cooperative argumentation, I think, is a really important skill for people in general to learn, even if you're not going to be doing law or writing books or whatever. That type of knowledge will help you with any relationship that you're in. It'll help you with your spousal relationship. If you're a teacher working with kids, it'll help you even talking to somebody at the store, like dealing with a UPS worker or something. And just a side note, UPS workers are dealing with a lot, so don't be mean to our postal workers. But yeah, cooperative argumentation is super, super important because it allows us to come away from an altercation with solutions rather than hatred towards the other person. And as we've pointed out, there's not much of that right now. There's not very many people that are, 1, willing to debate properly, and 2, don't understand what it takes to debate properly. I think there's a lot more people these days that think an argument is a screaming match, or is the thing that you'd film on the street as people are about to get in a knockdown drag out fight. That's what they think an argument is. But literally 40 years ago, an argument was just the name of a back and forth between a person over a topic. It wasn't in malice, it wasn't in anger, it wasn't in any, it was just a back and forth, like tennis, but over an idea. And I think we have to kind of come back to that. I don't know, this is definitely not the right word, but it's the only word I can think of, like the Platonic view of arguing, where it's just a tactic to understand each other. Like, it shouldn't be this divisive fight like a Fox News episode. Like, it really needs to be more of a constructive process where we genuinely explore the sides of issues that are important to us. I think that's 100% why we're seeing so many issues with politics is and the lack of us being able to like come together on these huge issues is because we've only been showcasing arguments. We aren't showcasing debates and conversations and like constructive things. Most of the stuff that I see out there, even though they make an attempt, it's still poking and prodding the other side to see what you can get them to say, and if you can say something more witty than the other person. But we don't really have solutionary based conversations anymore. Even in the like prior to the 80s, before they televised a lot of the proceedings in the Congress and the Senate and stuff like that, they would go back and forth for hours and hours over the bills, where they would they would not stop until they had a resolution. But now they're just like, it's just infighting and seeing who can get the most votes regardless of who it hurts and whatever. So that's all to say, we really have to understand how to interrelate with other people, and to understand that you can have a conversation that ends in disagreement without it ending in negative energy as well. Like, you can come to a disagreement without hating each other. Like, there is a way to coexist while having different ideas. But I think we're very much in a world that doesn't like to show that side of life.
Yeah. I think the picture that both of you painted ultimately comes down to this. You don't have to be Kevin Sanders. You can be yourself and deliver a message that suits the person that is watching or listening. Everybody's style and their taste to a specific approach is always going to vary. And that's okay. I like and I appreciate different approaches of all of them. Now, do I have specific ones that I'm more drawn to? Yeah. I don't believe that you have to yell and scream to emote the fact that you're disappointed. You don't have to yell and cuss to express your dissatisfaction in someone's behavior. But some people prefer you to be that aggressive. That's the only way you get some people's attention. And I think for what Kevin Samuels did, he was pretty effective at it. From what I just listened to of her, pretty effective. At the end of the day, people are still going to combat it anyway. No matter if he made sense or she made sense. People are still going to be defensive. And that has nothing to do with me, you, or them. That's something that they have to figure out. I just was curious. I personally don't think you can replicate another human being. You can copy and paste all you want. You can't be what they were. That's just impossible. And that's where people go wrong. If you're trying to reach people, you're going to have to do it by being yourself. No more, no less. And she was cooking. She absolutely said a lot that I agree with. And that's universal across the board for men and women. So shout out to her. My best wishes to her and all her endeavors. She seems to have an audience that's behind her. She's definitely doing the complete opposite of what Kendra G is doing. I don't see no similarities. Kendra G trying to be him too, but she is, yeah. I done expressed myself a number of times about her. I'll just leave it there. But at the end of the day, Malcolm Jamal Warner gave us that message. He said, smile more, be humble, be grateful. He just wanted to show love extended to the people. Oddly enough, I feel that was his way of saying goodbye to everybody. God allowed him to have that chance to do it. He had the opportunity to enjoy his family. Unfortunately, the way that things transpired might not have been the greatest ending, but he did it doing something that he wanted to. He's with his loved ones, you know. What more can you ask for? Just a humbling experience. And again, I'm grateful that I got to grow up on that programming. I got to see it for myself. I'm not looking at every household and thinking everybody's a drug addict and a crackhead and everybody is dysfunctional. I'm like, all right, black people can be doctors. Black kids can go to college. They can get degrees. They can have functional families. They don't have to be statistics. They can dress in corduroys. They can wear sweaters and eat Jello pudding. And it's not a problem, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Y'all let this world rot in y'all brain. Y'all out here really thinking that everybody is in World War II. I can't believe you still got that book from all them years back. Like, I had to really think about process. Like, damn, I got a ID picture from 10th grade and a couple photos from like the 3rd grade, but that's it. And look, the pages are full. Look at that. Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I was gonna say, hey, we are all equal. We're all hopelessly in debt, and and we're all stuck being hopelessly poor for the rest of our lives. So yes, we're all equal.
I want to say thank you to Sydney, to Rob. I know, Rob, you had things that you had going on, but you were able to get here. We wouldn't have been able to have this show without you. I thank you for being here. Sydney is always phenomenal from both. Shout outs to everybody that pulled up for the stream tonight. Rob, and I appreciate you for reposting. Rob did the same. To the new faces that's watching, Malcolm Jamal Warner meant a lot to a lot of people. We weren't all blood related, and we didn't have to. But the way that we were brought up and what we saw, a part of him will always be with us no matter what. And I would like to take that and do something with it moving forward to keep his name alive. Whatever you got going on, these are my final thoughts. I'll pass the mic to y'all so y'all can say whatever you might want to. But looking at this story and everything that went on with him and his final words, if you got things going on in your mental, in your spiritual, in your personal life, and it's not really that deep, go ahead and squash it. Get it up out of you. Repent, whatever you got to do to cleanse yourself of the heaviness. Go ahead and let that stuff go. Because like tomorrow is really not guaranteed. Michael Jackson gone. I mean, there's a list, a long list of people that we thought will be here forever. I thought these dudes and these women were immortal, man. They not here either. So it's like, stop playing with your time. Stop playing with your salvation. Stop playing with your relationships, with yourself, with your friends and family. Go ahead and get that stuff up off you. I yield the mic.
I have a poem that I thought would be fitting for him. So this is called 1 week. A week, 7 days. What does that mean? Hours made for elders aren't the same for teens. Everyone knows in a week, clocks tick 60,000 or 604, oh my God, I can't say numbers, 604,800 times. But that doesn't ensure every week will end in rhyme. How can one count on time, as not all time is fleeting? For 1 week can drag endlessly when one sits in meetings, or a child in May when the future summer beckons with play. Lessons can lengthen the time in a day. However, consider it's not always the case. Boredom is something we should all embrace, for these long, lonely minutes can quickly find their ends by spending our weeks with loved ones and friends, or filling the weeks with jobs and hobbies you love, or dedicating a reverent life to someone above. Don't take your time lightly. Time's a slippery trick. A joyful week may last as long, but feel over quick. Take your time, enjoy this ride. It is all we get. Count your blessings, pray to heaven. Let's hope each week everyone gets 7.
That's like the dopest part of my day right there was City be going with the poems. I love it. Rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner. We just lost homie from the Outlaws too. Tupac, Outlaws. That was sudden too. A lot of people, they got terms for the mindset you could have. The latest term for it is like a growth mindset. This is a message to everybody and a note to self, because I'm usually sarcastic, and if you could find something positive out the day to focus on through all the bad, through all the negativity, focus on that. And I want to be like, oh, love on your people and tell them you love them, and that's like the hardest thing to do. I'm thinking that even if you have to love them from a distance, even if you can't be around them no more, even if the damage is already done, if it's If it's somebody you love, even if you be like, yo, you know what, I can't deal with you no more, let them know you love them. And also, I have to start giving people flowers while they're here instead of waiting, because, you know, I know a lot of times it has good intent, but if I love you, I hope that I make sure to show you before anything bad happens. And I'll work on that myself. Shout out everybody.
Peace and blessings to everybody out there. You know, we just started the week. I hope you guys drive safe and go into the rest of this week with a clearer head, a different perspective on how you moving, how you communicate, listen, all that. If you're not following, tap in with me. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, especially YouTube, because I'm trying to trigger that algorithm. They be playing, they don't be trying to put respect on the brother name, but I'm on their helmet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to let up off of them. It's all pressure, all 25. But we're going to be spending back tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a blessed evening. If you need to reach me, you know where I'm at. Take care. Oh, and one other thing.
About to say, if you don't tell them, yeah, I'm about to say, hold on, don't get caught lacking.
Oh yeah, we up out of here, man. Y'all be easy.
Have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News. Now, the coroners in Costa Rica had also labeled his death by asphyxia. But the article goes on to state that the actor died near Cocles, which is a beach in Limon, Costa Rica. Police told ABC7 that he, being Malcolm Jamal Warner, was caught in a high current in the water and was discovered on Sunday afternoon. Now, the article doesn't state if he was caught in that current on Saturday and then he had been found on Sunday, or if all of these events occurred on Sunday. But I suppose the details around his drowning doesn't matter because he does leave behind a wife and a child, who I'm almost certain is completely devastated by the loss of her husband and the father of her child. Now, as more details about this story comes out, I promise I'm going to keep you guys posted. But again, I pray that you keep him and his wife and his daughter in your prayers, because this is definitely a trying time, because nobody should ever have to watch their loved one go out tragically. Now,
What's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And you know, life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else. But just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like, if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else to smile. So, find a smile for yourself and be a reason for someone else to smile. That's